So now, after a result of Operation Wormwood, we now interrupt these trumpet judgments for bowl judgments. And so in this case, the trumpet judgments have been blown, and North America has been the direct target of this judgment. And in a way, just as we see a cause and effect relationship up here with the fifth and sixth seal, this cause and effect relationship is kind of scaled up. So if Operation Wormwood is the cause, then and it's an extinction level event, then the effect of this cause is going to be scaled up as well. And then we see with the bowl judgments that's coming up, we actually see ecological disasters on a worldwide scale. And so we see in the Bible, we have the first bowl judgment is poured out on the kingdom of the Antichrist. So now, the Bible or God focuses now on the kingdom of the Antichrist, right? So if North America is destroyed, what we're going to see here are the ecological disasters that befall the kingdom of the Antichrist. And so the things that happen in North America are now going to fall onto Europe, in which the 10 kings reside in, as well as the Antichrist. And so here on the first bowl, it says that the angel pours out his judgment, and those who have taken the mark, 666, now apparently receive a grievous sore, as it says. And what exactly is that sore, don't know, but apparently maybe it's debris fallout from the trumpet judgments that directly affect the population that lives in Europe. If you ever studied the Younger Dryas impact theories, it's not really theories. I mean, they're actual secular scientific discovery of an impact in North America about 12,000 years ago. And they noted that there was a particular impact right near Mexico called the Chicxulub crater that they discovered initially. They discovered other craters as well near the Great Lakes area, but they noted this was about 12,000 years ago. Depending on, based upon, the ice core samples, as well as other scientific discoveries regarding these craters. And so, but what they also note on the Younger Dryas impact, which they say happened about 12,000 years ago, you're not going to find this anywhere in the Bible, by the way, that the fallout from that is actually in Europe. So the Younger Dryas impact affects not only North America, but it affects Europe. But what's interesting about these bowl judgments is that it begins with describing ecological disasters that befall the kingdom of the Antichrist, which is in Europe. So coincidence? Maybe not. We'll see. So in this case, the first bowl judgment, it specifically states those who've taken the mark of the beast, or the mark of the Antichrist, suddenly find themselves with these grievous sores all over their bodies. Now, it could be that this is a direct relationship to the 4 trumpets, and I'll discuss why as we go further here in the other bowls, is that we have an actual debris fallout from North America onto Europe. And so that's basically what it's stating here. And so the second bowl is poured out. The angel pours out the second bowl of judgment upon the sea. And the sea turns to blood, it says. and every living soul dies in the sea. Well, so in this case, we're talking about the kingdom of the Antichrist. So what is the sea to Europe? Well, just as the Pacific is the sea for America, the Atlantic is the sea to Europe, or in this case, the Antichrist. So in this case, the Atlantic is now dying, literally dying. All life forms are dying in the Atlantic from the asteroid impact on the Pacific. Basically, the oceans are just one huge system of life. The waters flow in currents all throughout the world, globally, from the Pacific to the Atlantic and vice versa. And so whatever happened in the Pacific now is affecting the Atlantic. It's no doubt affecting the Indian Ocean as well, but the focus of the bowl judgments is on the kingdom of the Antichrist, which is in Europe. So therefore the sea in this case in question is the Atlantic, and it dies, literally dies, from the ecological disaster imposed by God with Operation Wormwood, or the first 4 trumpets of judgment. And then the third angel pours out his judgment, the bowl judgment, upon the fresh waters of Europe, in this case lakes and rivers, and they turn to blood, it says. So you see salt water and now fresh water is turning to red blood, no doubt from debris and fallout from North America. It's just raining down the particulate matter from the impact of Operation Wormwood, and everything is turning blood red, even to the point, just as the star called Wormwood has poisoned the waters of North America, we see in the third bowl that the fresh waters are also undrinkable. In this case, turns red blood, and it says it turns red blood because they murdered the saints. You're drinking the blood of the saints, in essence, by the waters turning to red blood, or the red color of blood, and making it undrinkable. So you're murdering the saints, and this is just another reminder of your curse, if you will, from God. You notice that the sea and the water turning the red blood is similar to what Moses' judgment from God against the Egyptians for preventing the Jewish people from leaving Egypt and going into the Promised Land. These are a set of judgments by Moses against Egypt, and so you kind of see a similarity here. And finally, we have the fourth bowl judgment. The angel pours out his judgment upon the sun, it says. And from this ecological disaster that befalls the earth from Operation Wormwood, we see that the sun now scorches the area of the Antichrist, the people that live in that kingdom. This says the sun scorches their skin. And no doubt with the asteroidal impacts upon North America from Operation Wormwood, the ozone layer has been stripped away. And not only does it affect the kingdom of the Antichrist, which is the focus of the bowl judgments, it's no doubt affecting the whole world, right? So ecological disasters, notice it's 4 bowls, we have 4 seals, we have 4 trumpets. And so we have this pattern going on here. And all of this is on the kingdom of the Antichrist. And so what we have next is the 5th bowl is then poured out, and we have another cause and effect relationship here. The 5th bowl says that darkness descends upon the kingdom of the Antichrist, which would be the 10 kings, which is in Europe. And what's interesting about this, just as in North America, the third, it's the fraction of the third is mentioned here. Well, on the 4th trumpet, the sun is blotted out, the moon is blotted out, the stars are blotted out. So from their vantage point, any survivors in North America, should there be any, which obviously there will be, Well, they can't see the stars, the moon, and the sun because of all the particulate matter in the atmosphere. Thus, North America is plunged in darkness. Well, that darkness comes over Europe as well, and it's flowing eastward across the northern hemisphere. And apparently it also plunges Europe, or the kingdom of the Antichrist, into darkness as well. And this is a cause and effect relationship even here on the fifth and sixth bowl, because of this, there's a satanic trinity mentioned here in the fifth bowl, in which they send out demonic emissaries to the kings of the east. And really, you have the kings of the west as well. You have 10 kings. Well, Satan is actually driving the dictatorship of the world here, and but in order to get the kings of the east to come out of their shell, if you will, he has to send demonic emissaries, and with their magic and their sorcery, they do convince the kings of the east to march their armies westward. And so out of the darkness comes demonic emissaries, right? And so that's the cause, and the effect on the sixth bowl is that the river Euphrates is dried up. Because of the ozone layer destroyed, the sun is scorching the planet. Well, it's drying up all the freshwater rivers as well. And other rivers will be dried up as well, but it mentions the river Euphrates in the sixth bowl. Why does it do this? Because the armies of the east will march westward into Jerusalem to meet the kings of the west in Jerusalem, ultimately to fight the return of Christ. And so it says here in the sixth bowl that the river Euphrates is dried up to make way for the kings of the east. And so it's you see this kind of cause and effect relationship. You have the demonic emissaries going to the east, and now you have the armies of the east marching westward. And then finally, we have the seventh bowl. And, just as in the seventh seal, in which God has the last say, you have the seventh bowl, and God has the last say on this one. And he sends meteorites to strike the kingdom of the Antichrist. This is not an extinction level event, however, but it is a warning of divine judgment and chastisement against the people who live under or in the West. And so God has the last say on this bowl judgments, and then we resume with the trumpet judgments of God, and finally the last trumpet, which is God's last say once again, which is the second advent of Jesus Christ. From there, so we have this fifth and sixth trumpet, which is basically the grand finale, which is why we have a separation here of the trumpets, this interruption by the bowl judgments, because God wanted everyone to know what he's doing with the kingdom of the Antichrist, right? And so now we get back, the focus gets back onto the trumpet judgments. This is the grand finale of the tribulation. This happens towards the end of the tribulation. So you have the fifth and sixth trumpets and the seventh trumpet. And we have a demonic invasion, fifth and sixth. And the seventh trumpet is the invasion by God upon the earth, if you will. These are all separate because God says these are the three woes. This is a woe, that is a woe, and that's a woe. So we have a separation, and then finally God has the last say, as he does here in the bowl judgments, as well as in seal, and in comes Jesus Christ and his superhuman army of saints, by the way. So you have saints on earth being killed, but you also have the saints of the church age up in heaven. They come with Jesus Christ on the seventh trumpet. And from there we have the millennial reign of Jesus Christ. So this is basically the outline of the tribulation, and there's lots of details in between all these judgments that we'll go over in the next video.